Today on Group X Appeal, we are honored to continue our Mother's Day month celebration inspired by mothers by welcoming a true legend and trailblazer in the fitness industry, our friend, Sara Kooperman. Sara is the founder and CEO of SCW Fitness Education, a creator of the Mania Fitness Conventions, a sought-after keynote speaker, and a fierce advocate for fitness professionals like us worldwide. Her events and certifications have educated over 300,000 pros and shaped the careers of some of the industry's most recognized names. I don't know how recognized I am, but I'm certainly one of those names. Behind her powerhouse resume is something even more inspiring.
Yeah, Sara is a dedicated mother of 4 sons, proving that every single day that you can raise a family and build an empire. Her energy is contagious, her insight is next level, and her heart for this industry is undeniable. So, whether you're a working mom, a fit pro, or just someone looking for a dose of wisdom and motivation, this episode is for you. Let's dive in.
Hey there, welcome to Group X Appeal. I'm Kimberly Spreen-Glick.
And I'm Terry Shorter. We're excited to bring you this hot and sweaty podcast.
With over 25 years of experience each in the health and fitness industry, we're here to share hilarious, heartwarming stories from our lives and careers.
And offer practical nutrition tips, expert exercise advice, and strategies for holistic well-being and a positive mindset.
Group X Appeal is your go-to source for inspiration, motivation, and a few laughs along the way.
So tune in and let us help you be the healthiest, happiest version of you.
Hey, welcome back to Group X Appeal. Kimberly Spreen-Glick here with
Terry Shorter.
We're so glad you joined us today because we have a very, very special conversation we're having with a very special human being.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you for joining us, Miss Sara Kooperman. How are you doing today?
Here.
Yeah, so glad you're here.
Right when we record, the dog goes crazy.
That was
That's
perfect,
the world we live in now.
Yeah, that's the backup. You have to have some backup.
Yeah. Now, if you could just have a cat walk across your desk, it'd be perfect. Maybe we should do that on our end. So for those of you who have not...
Here he comes.
Oh, yay.
See, this is about family. This episode's about family. So
Yeah.
perfect timing.
We pride ourselves on being
Yes,
raw
we do.
and authentic, and
For
there we
sure.
are. I love it. So those of you who may not have crossed paths with Sara Kooperman, she is, as we mentioned in the intro, just an icon, a trailblazer in the health and fitness industry through not only programming, education, and then little side note, Sara is the one who gave me my first opportunity to be an educator in the industry at a fitness conference, San Francisco, about 117 years ago. No, I think it was like 22, 23 years ago. And I'll never forget, I lived in Columbus, Ohio, and I was going to California for the first time ever. And so I packed a suitcase filled with shorts and tank tops for March in San Francisco. I packed one sweatshirt because I thought, they might have some air conditioning on in the hotel. It gets, hot out there. And I got there, it was freezing. It was colder in San Francisco than it was in Columbus, Ohio. Mm-hmm. I wore that sweatshirt from the time I got off the plane till at the end. The sweatshirt could have walked on the plane by itself, I'm pretty sure. But it was one of the best weekends of my life. And it opened up the door for me to do something that I have loved beyond words, and that is educating in our industry. So thank you for that.
Yes.
Really appreciate you. And now we get to sit here and have a conversation about the fact that you are not only, a legend in our industry who we love, adore, and respect, but you're also a mom.
Yes.
And not just like a mom to a child, like a mom to a brood of men.
A team.
Which is awesome. Yeah.
An army.
Basically a soccer team.
To an infield.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right.
So we've got a handful of questions for you, and I'm going to throw the first one. So now we live in a world today where it's not uncommon at all, of course, for women to become mothers, work outside the family, and others like yourself, Sara, even have chosen to take more of an entrepreneurial route. So the question is, what inspired you to start your own business while at the same time raising a family?
Well, I feel like in some respects, I never had a choice. It's kind of who I am, how I was raised. I was very close with my dad. My dad was an entrepreneur and used to manufacture and distribute, and actually design men's trousers. So I grew up in a household that you you worked, and you could be an entrepreneur, and it could be part of your family because he worked with his father. So it was something pretty easy for me to fall into, and also it was something I really liked. Like,
Nice.
I know it sounds stupid, but I had a lemonade stand, and I did really well with my lemonade
I bet you
stand.
did.
Just the other day, I was walking the dog, and I saw this little girl who had a lemonade stand. And I looked at her, and she said, "Do you want a lemonade? It's $1." And I was like, "I don't carry any money. People don't carry any money. Go talk to your mom and open a Venmo." And I realized I am giving advice to an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, what are you doing, Sarah? But it's like...
That's great advice.
Yeah.
But think about it. I mean, what are you going to do? I can't tell her to create a QR code. That was the
Right.
first thing that popped in my head.
Right.
But, yeah.
So it's in your blood.
I just think about things. I think about how to do it differently, how to do it better, how can we improve. It's just
Yeah.
kind of ingrained.
It's interesting that you say it the way you just said it, because in all of the years I've experienced, teaching with SCW Fitness, one of the things you hear all the time from the attendees, from the staff members, even the nomads, the ones that have been around for a long time and go city to city, is how organized and efficient everything is. And compared to other conferences, no offense to the other conferences, we love them too, but it just stays on the cutting edge. SCW has always stayed on the cutting edge and been the most efficient as far as people feeling like things are run smoothly, organized. Now, I know it probably doesn't always feel that way in the background. I know.
Well, the funny thing was we started using QR codes before the pandemic, before they were in restaurants, before. We started doing, because we love to, and maybe it's all, me, but we love to try something new. Like the first time I had seen Zoom, I had a friend's son come and visit, and he had 24 hours or less, 22 hours in the Chicago area. I don't know if anybody knows this, but you can make if you make a stop on an airline less than 24 hours, it's not considered a holdover, a second flight. It's within that flight. So this guy was really cool about this stuff. My friend,
Working it.
he came to visit. We went down to the Bean, and they had this special exhibit on Zoom. And I was like, we're going to do that with our certification. We're going to Zoom our certification. And this was 2019. And my staff said, let's just wait until 2020. Let's see if we can get this all perfected. And let's get this. And the one thing I learned, I also think you've got to try it before it's perfect, because you're going to change it and you're going to improve it and make mistakes.
Right.
So just make the mistakes and just get the heck over it, say you're sorry, and move on. And luckily, it worked. The first time we did it was October in 2019, and then we did it again in November, and then we did it in February, and then the pandemic hit. So we were
ready.
That was Zoom, but you got
nice.
QR codes. That was another thing. It's like, then that was a nightmare trying to teach people how to use the QR code. Everybody's taking a picture on their phone.
Right. I know.
Take a picture.
So cute. I remember that.
So with staying cutting edge, Sarah, I've had the chance to experience, the way that you stayed ahead of the curve through our program called Ripped, that you embraced at one of the other conventions, and you invited us to be a part of your tour, which we're so thankful for. We had a chance to experience it firsthand, how you, like Kimberly was saying, how your team was very organized. The communication was second to none. The way that your entire team worked with not just the participants, not just the presenters, but the vendors as well, the sponsors as well. You treated everybody extremely well. We felt very well taken care of, and I got to, through that process and through that experience, not only got to see the efficiencies again on the front end. I know on the back end it may not have felt that way from your end, right? But what would you say were some of the biggest challenges that you faced, as a working mom in the fitness industry, and what was some of the best ways that you overcame them?
I, everybody talks about multitask. Well, when you're mom, it's not even a word, it's a lifestyle.
Sure.
You just have to do it. So I actually would bring my kids to the conference because yeah, you just have to do it. They have to see what you do. I want them to understand that mommy is not just having a phone call in the car and like giving them if you don't shut up now, that or the grip on the thigh. It's very professional and endearing. I'm sure my kids are going to a therapist right now. But if you bring them to the show, they see what you do. And I'll never forget Sammy, my oldest, who's now 34, just met his girlfriend this morning. Very
Ooh.
Yeah, on FaceTime.
We'll catch up on that later.
Yeah, she's adorable. But so with Sammy, I brought him to the show, and he's walking around. And it was actually, I can't remember, it was one of the East Coast shows. And he's walking around, and he goes, "Mom, do all these people work for you?" And I looked at him and said, "Honey, I work for all these people."
That's right.
But it was that helps for them to actually see what you do and be involved. And actually now my youngest, Max, how old's Max? 28 years old, is working with me. And he came to the last show, and it's really good. I'm like, "Buddy, you unload the truck, you load the truck. I want you to inventory all the AV stuff." It's work, and it's kind of fun. I mean, it's just kind of fun because
when you can make it
do, and it teaches them a work ethic. All my kids
definitely
have it, and it's nice to see. And I think, Kimberly, I'm sharing this with you, because, I kind of live vicariously seeing your son grow up, it's fun. But they do follow you, and they see what you do. Yeah. And our goal as parents, and this is what I always tell women and men who are raising children, is your goal as parents is to create independent, self-sufficient, confident adults. That's your goal. Like today, I was in the grocery store, and I said, I looked at a little girl, and I said, "How old are you?" And the mother answers.
No.
And I was like, "No, I'm not talking to you. This is not about you. Put the Louis Vuitton purse away. I want to talk to your daughter." You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Having them be independent. I think it's really key. I remember dropping, I think it was Max off. I was running from hockey rink to hockey rink to hockey rink. It's my own fault. I was a skater growing up. Not like a twirly skater, but just... I skated all winter. It was a way to, frankly, probably get away from my mother. But I skated. So my kids all ice skate. Chicago, what else are you going to do with them in the winter?
Right.
Good point.
Oh, God, get out of my house. But they all skated. And, I remember, bringing them to the rink. And I'm running from rink to rink. And I literally dropped off Max. He was the last one, the youngest. The other three were all in wherever northern suburb they were supposed to be in at the rink. Drop Max off, and one of the other mothers is walking in with her child, and she begins tying his skates. And I'm like, I don't do that. I have to drop them off and go. You have to learn to tie your own skates. So I bent down because I want to be a good mom. I bent down to tie the skates. Max looked at me like I was out of my freaking mind.
I got this, Mom. I got this.
What the heck are you, what are you doing? I can do it myself. In his little voice, right? I can do it myself. And he could because he had to,
You empowered him.
And the other boy looked at his mother and said, "I can do it by myself."
Oh,
And
wow.
he didn't really know how to do it. So he's looking at Max and trying to get his skates, and I'm just looking at her like, Mike ties his own skates. But at the beginning, I felt like a loser. Like I didn't pay enough attention to my kids, or I didn't sacrifice enough, or put them ahead of
Interesting.
everything, you know.
Sure.
And yet, by doing it exactly as you did, you have in fact raised very independent, confident adults. Empowered adults.
And articulate.
Yeah.
They had to learn how to talk to adults and be respectful and feel confident in front of strangers and introducing themselves and putting their hand out and shaking hands. And that stuff's important.
Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
If you don't see them in my backyard, oh my God. One year
Different story.
we were out of town and the nanny has them in the backyard, and I hear this story about how they had BB guns
Uh-oh.
and were trying to shoot the squirrels.
Oh no.
And I'm like,
That's a boy thing.
Yeah.
I'll strangle you.
Oh
Like,
my.
Yeah, that's a boy thing. I'm one of 3
Wow.
boys, so it's a very familiar story.
I had 4 brothers, and I don't remember the squirrels being at risk. They had BB guns, but they were at risk from each other.
Oh, yeah, there's
I
that.
remember that.
There's that.
So I do remember you bringing the boys to the events, and of course they had their athletics and such. But outside of that, what has your support system looked like? Like, how important has the community, both in business and in motherhood, been to help you manage some form of alignment there?
well, I'm sure you and Terry feel the same way. When you go to a convention, you're with like-minded individuals, you know. They become your family because they understand that you're just weird. We're just weird, you know?
We're our own special breed.
We are. And it's like, the willingness to leave your household, the desire to really give, it's like, and we all feel this way. We do a workshop and I get more out of the workshop giving it, even if I've given it 10 times before.
Yep.
I learn something new. I think about something new. It's just, it helps you grow. So I think a lot of my support system are just my sisters and brothers that are fellow presenters. And you find those people where actually, I just had a phone call this morning with Ann Gilbert. And just like blah, 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 talking about
Love it.
what new things are going on in the industry, what was the convention like, what new programming, what new equipment.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, I really do feel like they're kind of my saviors. And the other person, of course, I lucked out. I had a great dad who was very much of a mentor, who not so much like the work ethic on how to do things, but teaching me to be able to stand up and talk for myself. I remember going to a college interview, and I wanted to go to this small school in Minnesota, McAllister College. I wanted to go there so bad because they had a great study abroad program that I wanted to do. And I'm there in the interview, and they're asking me questions, and they're like looking at my dad, and my dad looks at me, goes, SJ, because that's my nickname, my real name is Sarah Jane.
Okay.
SJ, you have to answer this. You have to tell them why they need to have you at this school, or they're never going to have you. I mean, and the interviewer's right there.
Sitting right
Wow.
And my dad told me, and I said, you need to have me. I was the choreographer of the student show. I worked hard. I got straight A's. And he taught me to talk for myself. And then luckily when I, fell in love with my law school boyfriend, who is now my husband of 38 years.
Wow.
Yeah, we've been together.
Shout out to
My
Al.
husband says too long, 43 years. But you find somebody that really supports you and makes you the best you. And that's my husband. I mean, if I had, a quandary, what do I do? Because business is hard. There's not a black and white. It's not like, here's the decision. 99% of the way you're thinking is correct and 1% is wrong. If you're I always call it the 51% solution.
Oh, wow.
Like, you could kind of go either way, and the 99 and the 1%, your whole staff can figure that
Easy.
stuff out, right? They can figure it out. That's easy. They come to you when it's either you're going to completely lose your shirt and go bankrupt, or you're going to knock it out of the park, you know? And you got to figure out that 1% thing.
Yeah.
And I can rely on looking at my husband, and he asks me like the right questions, and I make the best decision I can at the time. So
Nice.
That's great. You're
Those-
rock.
Yeah.
yeah,
And of course, Al's been at the events as well.
yeah,
So,
Yeah.
so cool.
That is a great support system.
yeah. I once asked him. We used to co-present on legal issues.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
We literally would start going like disagreeing with each other.
Oh, my
Al,
goodness.
you can't. He says, just put up a sign and tell those people they cannot swing the hand weights in that group class. And I would look at him and say, Al, these students, you know, they're not going to listen to you. So how are we going to handle this? Oh, no, they'll have to listen. I'm like, no, they're not, you know, second graders. They're adults, and they don't listen anyway. And and I realized, oh, God, it's like a comedy show, like a bad.
I love it.
I love it.
It's awesome.
Well, yeah, your support system sounds amazing, all the way going back to your father.
I
Just
love
gave you
that.
a really strong foundation. And so I get it. I get it now, Sarah.
It all comes together.
It all makes sense. Well, you know, many of our listeners, they struggle perhaps with some mom guilt or some burnout, especially those who are going to conventions, going to conferences, burning the midnight oil, answering emails late at night or early in the morning
What?
on their,
No, who would
on their
do that?
phones, answering text messages, right? What advice would you give to women trying to prioritize their health and their dreams while caring for their families?
Well, I actually, for 12 years, I sold fitness equipment on QVC.
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Bought us a station wagon at one point, bought us a minivan at another point. Never got to the SUV. I quit before I. But I always used to feel so guilty because I'd get like these last minute calls.
Yeah.
You're on air. They started every 6 weeks, and then it went every 4 weeks, and then it was like every other week. They wanted me to go and be on air and sell a total gym and a glider and an ab machine and all these different things. And I used to feel so guilty. And then the worst thing is, you come back from being on air, and I would still be wearing like the makeup, you know, and so you look like this hooker hockey, you know, and you're like
Hooker hockey mom.
showing up at the hockey rink. And
Can we make that a tag?
That should be a t-shirt.
Hooker hockey mom. T-shirts. Yes, T-shirts.
Thank you. I'm glad I said that out loud. All right, so I got my wheelie bag. I show up, and I realize these women like hate me because
Oh, no.
they're wearing sweater sets, and I'm like running around and doing stuff. I have always believed it's not time management, it's guilt management.
Wow.
And I remember one time specifically, Sammy was little, and Al had him for the whole weekend. It was really, you know, here I am working, and I call him, and it's like Saturday morning. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, we're doing the usual. I'm like, this kid is 2 years old. What is the usual? And they go out for breakfast, and Sammy got the you know, like the funny papers, the cartoons, because that's when we read papers. It wasn't an iPad
Right.
with a movie on it. You lucky moms.
Right.
It was like you actually had to give a coloring book, or anyway, he was tearing up the cartoons. That's what he did. He would tear the paper.
The usual.
gosh.
They would do. But I came back on Sunday, and we were supposed to go to dinner at a friend's house. And so we went to dinner at their house, and Sam tripped and fell and banged his head and came running over to Al instead of running over to me. Like, usually they run to mom.
Mama,
It's
yeah.
just, I mean, Terry, you know, it's just kind of, it kind of is what happens. He ran to Al because he'd been with Al the past couple days, And the lady looked, she goes, "Oh, you must feel horrible." And of course I felt horrible.
And thanks for bringing it up.
Poor. Of course I felt bad. Sorry, I should.
Why would she draw attention to that? That's
Because
mean.
they're mean, and I was in better shape than she was because she was.
That's what it was.
I can talk about that. 'Cause I'm not daddy. All right. Anyway, so she's like, "Oh, you must feel so bad." And I looked. I said, "No, I'm very proud that my husband has such a great relationship. with his mom."
Yeah.
Yep.
And now, of course, we left the house, and in the car ride home, I'm crying because I'm a terrible mother, and I feel horribly guilty. And my husband's like, "No, it's fine. He's fine. I'm fine. We're fine." You know. But you have those moments,
Sure,
and
sure.
you do feel guilty, and people look at you like, and women will say to you, I don't know if they still do it as much now.
They do. They still do.
They'll say, "Don't you feel bad? Don't you miss your family?" And you just have to take that deep breath, and you have to say, "No, my child is independent, self-sufficient, and I'm doing my job as a parent." And I'm going to tell for the ladies listening to this, at least, I've had friends that were full-time moms, stay home, always there, and my kids are happier, more successful in relationships. It's not bad. They will be fine. They will grow up to be strong and independent. And the time I spent with them was very focused.
Yes, I think that's huge.
That is huge.
Yeah.
Intentional.
Quality.
Being intentional.
Paying attention. Yeah. The best thing was I was the only mom that would go and pick them up after hockey practice. And after, boys, when they hit I'm going to say 11 to 13 years old, they grunt. That's all they do. They don't talk. It's not like girls that never shut up.
We haven't gotten there yet.
Well,
It's almost there.
Tyler's turning 13 this year. It's coming.
yeah, maybe you will, maybe you won't. But they, I always say they turn to the dark side, and they grunt. And they don't talk a lot. But if girls come over, the girls tell you everything. Oh, thank goodness. But dealing with that grunting is quite a challenge. But the only time they chatter is when they're coming home from hockey practice. I swear, they think I was going to say a taxi driver. It would be Uber driver right now.
Right.
They pay no attention to you, and they're talking and joking between themselves.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, when they get older, that age, you're picking them up at 9:30, 10:30 at night.
Yeah.
After that, they're the last group on the ice. So I could hear, what they were doing, what was going on, because
Nice.
I think all the moms were asleep, and I was probably struggling to do emails in the car, waiting. For me, it was on
Only at red lights.
only a BlackBerry. Well, waiting, you wait outside the rink for them. So
I remember my BlackBerry. I
Same.
loved my BlackBerry. It was
I
so
miss
good.
it still.
I do. It was a phenomenal piece of technology. It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so I have another question for you, Sarah. If you could go back to your younger self as a working mom, what direction or advice would you give you to help on the journey?
I would try to counsel myself not to cry in the car on the way home from the friend's house. That to feel a little more anchored and a little more secure that working is okay.
Yeah.
I did have an experience with my one of my sons where he actually said to me, I've had to deal with the fact that you weren't home and there every day after school. And I looked at him and I was like, oh, poor you. You went to summer camp. You got to play hockey, which is not the most inexpensive sport.
No.
Thank you very much. We went on ski vacations. If I wasn't at every student show, I would go to the rehearsals. So I would say they turn out okay.
Yeah.
Try to control the guilt, because you will survive and they will survive.
And perhaps even be better for it.
Thrive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stronger.
I think so. I'm trying to think of some other things that I would do differently, and I actually might try not to work so late into the night and then have to wake up so early. Like, I know now that I got to say it, 8 hours of sleep makes you a different person. Like, you think you can squeak by with these things, and the squeaking doesn't always pay off. And when you get so tired that you're like reading the same sentence
over and over again
3 times, you got to put it down, and you've got to walk away from it.
Get the rest.
It's rest.
Yeah. And the only thing I didn't do that I wish I had done as a mom, I'm probably kind of like, really evaluating this. A lot of my friends, and my cousin does this as well, they will take one child at a time on a vacation. And spend that one child at a time on a vacation. Like you said, Kimberly, you're going to take your son to Paris.
Yep.
Because you're working full time, it's not like I've got 4. What am I going to do? I'll be gone a month.
One a quarter.
It's like,
wow.
Yeah, I can't take 4 weeks off. This is not Australia. Okay, right. I couldn't do it. So it was always this, taking all these kids on a group vacation, but they were fun.
Sure.
We were always that family. We were always walking on an airplane, and people are like, "Oh God, I hope they don't sit down," And I had stair steps. So when I went shopping, I would buy like 6 pairs of khaki pants, 4 that would fit and 2 that were bigger.
Awesome.
Or if I saw like little blue blazers were on sale, it was like 4 that would fit and were on sale, so 2 that were bigger.
I love it.
And I would dress them all the same when I was traveling. And it could be search and destroy. I could find which, because they all looked alike. I'd buy them these stupid little Hawaiian shirts that they would
like a team.
Yes, exactly. That was their uniform, team uniform.
Yeah. But going back, try not to sweat the small stuff. Don't feel guilty that you're not around 100% of the time. It's not emotionally damaging them. And frankly, get over it. Your kids are going to be emotionally damaged anyway from something.
From something or some other person.
Yeah. Just get over it.
Well, I love the term guilt management. That should be a hashtag.
That's amazing.
Guilt management. I've never heard it before, but it makes perfect sense. And
it's another T-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. So, Sarah, what are well, first of all, is there anything else you'd love to share with our audience? And then in that as well, how can people kind of keep up with you and the great work that you do through SCW?
I did write a book. Do I have a copy hanging around here?
I didn't bring mine.
Oh, wait. I'll be back.
Okay.
All right. Take your time.
Yeah. Here it is.
That was fast.
Yay.
Fit for business.
It's really good.
Yeah. And it's got a whole bunch of fun stories. It really is. It's kind of fun. And you have lessons in here. I haven't promoted it enough. I need to promote it more because it's also got, like, at the end, it's got like summary stuff, and then it's got questions that it's kind of like I ask you. Like, what are some things? And one of the things I want to share is you've got to fail 9 times out of 10. You are going to fail 9 times out of 10. And I think sometimes, I'm going to say this to women, sorry, Terry, but we don't get over it. You know, we fail once. Oh, well, I'm never doing that again. No, you need to do it again. You need to do it again. You need to do it again. Up, Buster.
Yep.
Buster, come here. Yeah, I know. It's
Hi,
very,
Buster.
it's distressing. There was a deer walking across the lawn,
Oh
and
my gosh.
as a golden retriever is a real hunter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
The deer and the mailman. That's him. But being able to deal with failure is very important. As a
It's
mom.
funny. I heard not too long ago that failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success. Yeah.
That's interesting. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, there's another T-shirt.
We're going to have a whole line.
Yeah.
I mean, awesome.
And that's important because, you know, when we're in fitness, we work towards failure, right?
That's the goal.
That's the goal, that you're just exhausted.
Yeah.
and
Because
you
we
have-
know on the other side of it, we're going to be what?
Stronger.
Stronger.
Yep.
Right. And people can find us at SCW, like Sarah City Workout, scwfit.com. And I do have a website, sarakooperman.com. That's
Nice. So we'll have all that in the show notes then
For
as
sure.
well. So you'll be able to find it below if you're listening or watching.
Yes, and her book, by the way, as you're listening, Fit for Business, an unapologetic look at the life of a witty fitness entrepreneur, can be found everywhere. You can get it on Amazon and
where
get
I got
it
mine.
in the next 24 hours if you order it today. Order it now.
Order now. and we'll provide these bonuses. There'll be t-shirts. Label. No, it really is a great book. I remember when you first announced it and I ordered it on Amazon. It's really funny. You're hilarious,
wait to
actually.
get-
But I
I
already
can't
knew
wait to get my
knew that about you.
Copy.
So many people see you as this, like, you know, this entrepreneur, this businesswoman
Stoic,
who's like
stoic.
a leader, and you're hilarious. And so I'm so glad that comes through in the book and people are able to see that side of you. It's really awesome.
For sure.
Well, that's very sweet. It's very. I like what I do. I like. I love
And
being-
it shows.
Yeah.
Especially,
Good.
yeah, it shows. And, you know, we really appreciate you taking time today, Sarah. You, as always, you brought the fire, you brought the truth, wisdom along the way. I can't wait to read your book as
That's
well. I'm
good.
going to get it. So as soon as we get off
Hey, you
the
can't
line-
borrow mine. You got to get your own.
Yeah, I'll get my own. But really appreciate the real talk today, you know, in this conversation. You know, you truly are a living example of what it means to lead with courage, to build with vision, and to love with everything you've got. You know, I've seen it. I can still feel it today, even though we haven't seen one another for several years. But love that you haven't changed that at all.
Yeah, I just love that you, as you share your story, it reminds us that being a mother isn't a detour on the path of success, it's a foundation. And it just inspires us all to think bigger, to act bolder, and to never forget our why. And as you said, you know, manage the guilt management. I'm with you. That really, that hit me when you said it. So I just so appreciate those nuggets. We're always looking for, as we're talking amongst ourselves or talking with a guest, we're looking for those nuggets, and there's some pretty amazing nuggets in this conversation. So thank you for that.
For sure.
Nuggets.
Nuggets, golden nuggets.
Golden nuggets.
Golden nuggets. Not like chicken nuggets. Or anything.
Oh, yeah,
golden.
I was
Golden
thinking
nuggets
those
of
little
wisdom.
brown nuggets that I'm like
Not those
for
ones.
boys.
Not those.
Oh my gosh.
I love it.
That's so
Well, we're so grateful to have had you with us today, Sarah. We know that our listeners are absolutely walking away with not only informed, but feeling informed, but definitely empowered and inspired. So
No doubt.
thank you for all you do.
guys, you know, putting this together and doing this are amazing. And you, how,
Thank
you
you.
know, you've been in this industry so long, and you know, I'm impressed with the two of you doing this.
thank you.
And what
Thank you.
you've done.
Appreciate that. We're having fun. We said
sure.
we said we're going to keep doing it as long as we're having fun, and now we're 37 episodes later.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're still having fun,
Absolutely.
and you helped us have fun today. So thank you.
Well, thank you I'm honored that you included me. Thank you.
would
sure.
not have been able to have a series like this without including you. Like, I've looked up to you, and I've called you a friend for many, many years, but beyond that, just you've inspired me in ways that you don't know. And so
Yeah.
We can talk about that another time.
We will.
But
I
but,
remember, I was so burned out. I can't remember. We were chatting, and then I went into the bathroom, and I was like, I am so burned out. I'm like too old for this. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. And then this lady cornered me in the bathroom, took a selfie with me, started crying, said I changed her life, and she loves these conferences. She lives it, and you know how you leave. It's like that bathroom visit was
The timing.
made my whole conference.
Yep.
Who has somebody take a selfie with them in the bathroom? You know, it's like it's not your best look.
only at SCW.
I know, but you do that to me, Kimberly. We went on to dinner, and Terry, I'd love to have you back at the conference.
Thank you. You're sweet.
Love it.
You're sweet. Making my comeback.
We should
so.
go do something together.
Let's do
That'd be
something.
Yeah, baby.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I love it.
Well, fantastic. Well, thank you again, Sarah, for joining us. This is episode 38, and she crushed it as we expected, and we hope you enjoyed it as a listener. We hope that you share this, leave comments down below. Feel free to leave any reviews as well for Group X Appeal. And of course, make sure that you get Fit for Business today on Amazon, written by Sara Kooperman, and you can visit her at sarakooperman.com as well. And
Definitely
what about
SCW Fit.
Yes,
So for
SCW
any of
Fit.
you listening, if you are fitness professionals, you're looking for your continuing education or additional certification, SCW Fit does conferences all across the U.S. And those of you who are enthusiasts, we know we have a lot of enthusiasts that are with us. Have you ever thought about getting certified and joining the realm of us fitness pros that love what we get to do?
Us crazy people.
Us weird people, one of a kind. Then SCW Fit is a phenomenal pathway to get going.
Fantastic. So that is it.
Yeah.
I'm Terry Shorter.
I'm Kimberly Spreen-Glick.
And that's Sara Kooperman. And we thank you so much. We encourage you to make it a great day. Because why?
Because it's a great day to have.
It is.
Much love.
Peace.